Hey guys, I'm Al Washington and welcome to my Mystical Louse podcast. I am here with USA Today bestselling author Sarah Noffke. Um, and we're going to talk about her latest series, the Ella Bloom Mysteries. And I'm going to go ahead and pass this mic over to Sarah so she can introduce herself to everybody.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for having me. This is really exciting to be here and sharing books and ideas with you. Like you said, I'm Sarah Noffke. I'm a urban fantasy writer. More recently, I have dove into the paranormal cozy mystery, which I think is very adjacent to what I've done in the past, so it doesn't feel completely new. And I've been doing this for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I have 128 books and 17 series. So yeah, I really love what I'm doing and love sharing it with readers and other authors too.
Oh, absolutely, Sarah. Thank you. And definitely thank you for coming on. So we're going to get right into it, guys. So Sarah, what actually started the Ella Bloom, your latest mystery book series? What started that? What inspired the creative process with that?
Great question. I mean, there's a longer story to this, but yes, this is my new series, and it's paranormal cozy mystery, and it's just started releasing September of 2025. So we're kind of in our infancy, as I like to think of it.
Okay.
But anyways, it's about a girl that comes to this small town that had magic. It doesn't have magic anymore, and she's just there for, this part-time gig and to really put a pause on all of the demands in Los Angeles. So she's come to it's kind of like the Big Bear area of, California. But
Right.
anyways, the idea came to me really based on the detective that she goes to work for, and his name is Malcolm Fox, and he's a paranormal detective, but he doesn't have a memory of it. Every day he wakes up and he doesn't remember what happened the day before. And he writes himself notes and he's kind of set up his life, but he's not a paranormal detective anymore. And he
Right.
had pills that would help him to kind of save his memories from day to day, but they don't really work. And so, anyways, there's kind of this big gap in his life. And Ella shows up and she's there to help him to remember it and to get back the magic and to really get Gloamington back to where it used to be or to a new place. But anyways, the idea came to me when I myself was at a writers conference and somebody walked up to me at the same time I was taking a vitamin
Uh-huh.
and I went to go put it in my mouth as I was meeting them. And I thought, what if there was a character and he didn't have a memory unless he took a pill to save that memory? Like he wouldn't remember the
Right.
person that he was just introduced to. And what about this whole idea about it being hinged on, on pills and medicine, but also that was the time I had this idea that a paranormal detective that has memory problems, like
Right.
inherently, there's going to be some cool things that can happen. And I love the idea that he's the best paranormal detective in the world. He just doesn't remember why. So that's where it really came from.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely do like that. And like I said, I'm reading in the process of reading it now. I read it right in the beginning of reading the first book for the first series. So like I was saying that at the beginning, I'm not gonna, spoil it for everybody, obviously, just gonna be short and sweet with it. But kind of in the beginning of it, it really hit home, especially with Ella having her piece for a little while, trying a different escape and just trying something new. But that, of course, that's
It doesn't last long.
exactly, a little disturbed by what's going on in the town. But with that being said, I love the mystical colors and design of the book overall. I love the mere main character's name, Ella Bloom. Very enchanting. How was it
Mhm.
creating her though? Was it a challenge or did it just come naturally? I know you're still writing her, but because I know you have total of seven, I do believe, books in the series, correct? I know the new one's coming out, but how is it like writing her?
Great question. Thank you.
Right.
And yes, there's going to be nine total
My bad.
with the potential for more. I think that
Gotcha.
the paranormal cozy mystery readers and the genre can support really long series. And really hope that it goes that way. But I'm a business person too, not,
Right.
reluctantly. So the series has to show that it has longevity. But to get to your actual question about Ella, it actually was really difficult. And you would think that it would be easy because most of my protagonists have been a very similar kind of Ella character.
Okay.
They're kind of like me, they're short and they're sassy and they're, in Los Angeles and they're fish out of water because that's what I know. It's not
Right.
easy for me to write. But I originally started by writing the paranormal detective Malcolm's perspective. And he's a Scottish man, older, and, very Sherlock-esque.
Right.
But the story wasn't going anywhere. And so I actually spent about 2 years. I wrote probably about 30,000 words of the book. And my husband's Scottish. So he kept telling me, we can do this, we can do this. But it wasn't coming natural to me. And it was actually set in Scotland as well.
Oh,
So it
okay.
took me a long time to realize that it had to come from Ella's perspective. And once I did, yes, it was easy to figure it out. But then also, she's got a lot of bizarre traits that I don't relate to. You mentioned
Right.
it in our emails. She's an orphan. I know that that's a popular trope, but it also sets them up for a mysterious background,
Yeah.
unknown parents, origins, all these things that we really do need in a magical world where part of the mystery is who is she? Um, so that was hard for me to relate to. And then she also needs to be this wallflower that, isn't, doesn't make friends, and that drives her out of the city and drives her into Gloamington. So I didn't
Yeah.
really relate to that, in the beginning. And she can't be around technology because she has some sort of weird magical thing that she does to them. No spoilers there. But so there's a lot of aspects about her that I had to really kind of like, figure out as time went on. But I've always said this about my characters. Invariably, they're going to be smarter than me. They're going to be braver than me,
Oh my
you
God.
know, and
Right.
maybe a bit naive. But,
Right.
I just had this last book that I was working on, and one of the beta readers said, I just wish that she would just step up into her abilities. I wish she would just like step up to the challenge. She's proven
Right.
herself. This is book 5. But for me, maybe that's where I struggle with it because I was like, when do we actually become the protagonist in our own stories? When do we actually have that confidence?
Right.
Um, and so I've really struggled with that because you don't want him to come off too cocky.
Yeah.
There needs to still have that humble aspect. Harry Potter still, in book 7, he's, struggling with, can I, do the challenges set before me? He's not going, oh, I got this, hold him
Exactly.
down.
Exactly.
So
Like through ourselves in there. Exactly. But I love how you set up the world in Gloamington. Like I know everybody in Los Angeles, is the big city. Oh my God, everybody wants to go. City of dreams. Yeah, yeah, whatever. But I love how the world that you set up to Gloamington with the mountains and it's peaceful. Maybe I'm saying this because we're both writers and I love having that peace and solitude. So just love that transition, especially with the magical world that you have set up for it so far. So I
thank you. Well, it's supposed to be this nice dichotomy. And I mean, I'm not far from Los Angeles in my current home,
right.
but also I wouldn't live in Los Angeles if I had a choice because it is too loud, too gritty, too much of everything. But yeah, it's nice to have that dichotomy of, there's the city with all its
Yeah.
lights and brights. And then my readers, they like cozy. So we're going to want quiet. We're going to want pristine mountains, a one-lane road, these things that keep things basic.
Right, exactly. And I've been to LA, Sarah, speaking of which, it was years ago, and it's beautiful, but it's very expensive. The highways, the freeways, it's like maybe, I see stuff on TV or read it said, yeah, it's exciting to live in a big city. Maybe if I was a millionaire, maybe, but at the same time, I get what you're saying. Not because you said it, because that's exactly what it feels like. Yeah, LA is beautiful. But it's a lot and it's expensive and it's just very congested. So just transitioning from that LA to Bloomington, I just thought that was just beautiful. I mean, yeah, just visiting LA is great, but me living there, no, I like peace, solitude. So yeah, it
Thank you. I'm
okay.
glad you like that. And
Yeah,
also, I have to remember my readers, like you and a lot of my other readers, they want to be transported. They want to go to a
yeah,
place that they enjoy. And
yeah.
the idea of Bloomington is that it's a small town and low stakes, and you never leave there.
Right,
They're not going to go over to Los Angeles and solve some crimes. And a lot of my urban fantasies, they're all over the world inside of one book. But I
right.
love
Yeah.
the idea of not leaving anywhere and keeping things really, really nice. So it's a town that people want to visit and you get to just stay there instead of, leaving the borders. And my readers really need that too.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you definitely do it vividly and detail, especially in the book, the first book of the series. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
you're very
you.
welcome. You're welcome. How does it feel being a USA Today bestselling author?
Wow. It happened several years ago, so it's a really good question, and I'm really glad to be reminded because I remember working really hard to get that title,
Absolutely.
and it was absolutely phenomenal. I just remember changing everything, business cards and signatures and everything because it was so important. But what was interesting was that I realized you can't just make it. You have to
Right.
keep making it.
Okay.
So since then, it's helped to, give me some credibility. People see that and they think, okay, she knows what she's doing. But what I've learned is you got to keep knowing what you're doing. And you have to keep changing in this industry. So it's definitely been such a wonderful way to, get my name out there and to put some weight behind, that I've written books and I've sold them.
Yeah.
But it was such an amazing ride to get there, and then the dynamics of everything changed afterwards. So I think that it was the right time whenever I did it in my career, and definitely has set me off on a brand new journey, which I'm so very grateful for.
Oh, absolutely. And you're much well deserved. Congratulations for that. Definitely to get on that list just in general, but
Yeah.
absolutely. But so and speaking of which, with that, I know we mentioned or that you have a new book from the Ella Bloom mystery series, which is going to be book five, Raining Cats and Curses, if I make sure I had that right.
Yeah.
That's the first, excuse me, that's the fifth one that's coming out everybody tomorrow. So
Yay.
definitely for that. Yeah, congratulations for that.
Thank
How do you
you.
feel about it dropping officially tomorrow?
Oh,
How do you feel?
I'm so excited. I was always excited. Like I said, 128 books, and I don't get to the point where I'm like, oh, just another book. Sometimes I forget because I'm so
Right.
much. Right now, I'm in the process of writing book six. So, like five
Nice.
minutes before you and I got on this call, I was literally writing that book.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of stay in my own little world. But um, so every book is such a big deal for me. We celebrate every single win in my household. We, never make it so it's like, oh, it's just another,
Yeah.
whatever. Uh, but this one's getting more exciting because when I first started, it was, of course, a brand new series in a brand new world with a new genre. And a lot of my fans thankfully followed me over, but some were reluctant. Paranormal
Right.
Cozy is not urban fantasy, and urban fantasy is what I was writing very successfully for 8 years. So I think that for them, it was, oh, this is going to be different, and it is. But it's not too different. But
Right.
anyways, so it was very nerve-wracking starting the Ella Bloom Mysteries. And to answer your question about how it is with book five, it feels so much more exciting now with the more the books come out because we have a bigger readership and more people have taken a chance and we've got our funnel going and we're getting the readers in there. And
Right.
so it's much more fun than like when it was book one and it was like, please read. And then it was book two and it was like, are y'all still reading?
Right.
And then we would get on to book three and I was like, okay, hello. How's it going out there? And now I feel like there's just so much more interaction. So I'm so excited for book five to come out tomorrow. I think it's one of my favorite ones in the series, but I keep saying that every time. So
But absolutely, Sarah, definitely. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Let me first, I'm getting through the first one, obviously, still, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. So definitely much
thanks.
appreciated. Absolutely. You're very welcome. So what inspired you to officially do first, congratulations of writing over 128 books. What inspired you to become a writer? Did something or someone lit a fire, excuse my language, under your ass to really bring out your passion as an author?
Oh, good question. It's hard to pinpoint that moment, but I mean, you're a writer, and I'm sure you know that passion
Yeah,
and you get it from reading and experiencing other people's stories. And I
absolutely.
think there's a moment for so many of us where we go, I want to do that too. I want to make people feel that way. I want to, and for me, I was a big Philip Pullman reader and his Dark Materials came out and I was reading that and it's a middle grade fantasy,
Uh-huh.
but it's smart. It was like quantum physics and stuff. And I remember thinking, I want to write something that transports people while also making them feel like, they've gotten smarter, just
Right.
by reading a book.
Yeah.
So I remember that being one of the critical moments for me. But just growing up, like I have like my old plays, my old poetry. I wrote the worst poetry like up until I was like 25 years old.
Oh,
Um, but I always had this drive to write. I mean, whatever it was, I had to do something. Um, and one of the audiobooks I'm listening to right now is a nonfiction, and it's by Wayne Dyer, who is, very metaphysical and talks about spirituality. And I've quoted him many times when I've spoke at conventions and stuff, but he says, "Don't die with your music still in you." And that
Yeah.
resonated with me so much when I was unable to write because I was having to work the regular job, and you don't have time
Yeah.
for the creative, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah.
you feel sort of dead inside, right? And but I remember hearing those words, "Don't die with the music still in you." And that's what our stories are. And I think when we're not taking the time to write them, when we're not, living our purpose and giving that to the world, that we feel, that stagnation. So for me, it's all of those different moments that are like, you've got to tell your stories. And obviously it's hard. We do have to work the 9 to 5, and I've done it. I've been in business and administration. I can tell you can relate.
Yeah, absolutely, Sarah. No, and you hit it on the head. It's just not to, I'm not trying to be complaining, like I said, but it is very difficult balancing both. And I wish that I can do this full time. And I know that I have a day job and on the grace of God, but at the same time, it's like sometimes I do get overwhelmed or burnt out, or I simply having doubt about my own writing. When you said that, you mentioned you did poetry until 25 and it looked and sounded like crap, but that's what it feels like as I'm writing my first novella. It just feels like that my focus kind of, some days I'm good, some days I'm not, if that makes any sense. I don't know if you ever had that, but
Oh,
it's really hard to balance both. But this is something I know I wanted to do. Like you said, you always wanted to write. I've always been writing, and even subconsciously, I just did it. I didn't think about it. I didn't think about having a career. I just, you know what I mean, Sarah? Have you ever had those moments like when you were younger, or even now, that you just got out a pen and you just started writing?
oh
That's what
yeah.
it feels like. Yeah.
Because you have to, not because you want to. It's like you have to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. And so it's exactly what it feels like. And a little nerve-wracking because this is my first one. So I pray, and I hope I'm gonna get it out. Hopefully this year. So despite what you like I said, balancing everything and really carving and making the time to write. But yeah, I
You will, and that's
appreciate
the
it.
thing is, at first you'll doubt yourself, but you just
Yeah,
have to write it because whether it's not oh, it's definitely not going to be the best whenever it's first written, but
that's
you can't edit something that's not there, right? You
right.
can't do anything with an empty page. So once it's out, and writing is definitely a skill and it's a muscle. And the reason I can write, every single day is literally because I just kept doing it. And my first books were so bad. I spent 2 years editing and re-editing and
Oh,
slaughtering those books, quite
right.
literally. Just, I was like, oh, this, first 50 pages just needs to leave. And
Yeah,
I swear to this day, I get people going, "I'm so confused." And I was like, that's because I literally slashed the first 50 pages of that book.
right.
But we learn and then we get better. And I know that you're going to ask later on about advice for writers, but
Exactly.
while our writers, but while I'm thinking about it is just remember that your first book is not your last. So often when we start this, we just think, oh my gosh, because I literally thought I'm going to write one series and I'm going to be done. And it's not. And it's such a learning experience. And when we grow on top of it, and so many, if we research other writers, Stephen King's, first book, but then he went on to do so many other things. If we look, it's usually readers, authors later on in their career that actually found, their gold.
Right, so and you like you just said with the quote, "Don't let the music die inside you." So you just and that gives my next question, tips and pointers for all creative writers. Just do it. Basically, just I mean, even my first book, it's not going to be a multi. I mean, who knows if not, but still, just you're saying, Al, just get it out.
You have to get it out and you have to get out of your own way because
Yeah,
so often we'll go, well, that's not the best way I could say that. Oh,
right,
let me delete, and you can, but you can't. You can't do anything unless you just get it out there. And we feel so much more empowered when we're writing. That's why we're there. So that's the music that you have to get out of you. And then it just becomes easier and easier. So you don't know. I mean, your first book might be the best thing that you've ever done,
right.
but it'll definitely build on to a lifetime of other achievements. So do it.
Right. I appreciate it. Thank you. Right. Thank you. At the same time, let's say hypothetically, if it was, that doesn't mean me thinking, oh, Al, yeah, this is a best-selling hit. You know everything about writing. You don't have to try harder in your next one. You got it. No, no. Yeah, exactly. Still learning. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's
Yeah. And
you.
I mean, being humble is definitely key. It's like
Yeah.
I was just writing a character and I was thinking about it, and she's nervous because she's in a competition. And the detective says to her, it's like, those nerves are literally what make you a good competitor. If you're not nervous, this doesn't mean something to you, then you're not going to have the edge on everybody else. But when you want it, you need to have those nerves. And so I think that they can really serve you, you know?
Sarah, no, Sarah, I'm still scared as hell. Even when I look, because I have to work on a little bit on tonight, a little bit. I carved out some time yesterday. I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed. I was tired, but I was able to knock out at least an hour last night, and I'm hopefully gonna do that again today. Um, I do get still scared as hell though when I'm even looking at it. Like even on the computer, I'm like, wow, okay, another rewrite. I'm trying to flesh it out. Do you still have that, even though you've written over 100 books? Do you still have that like fear? I mean, just you're like, what the hell did I write? Like, oh God, I don't even want to touch it right now. I don't know if you had.
Oh, absolutely. And so I think the moment that I stop having it, I
Right.
think that then I need to move on to something else. And I don't know what that could be. So I hope that doesn't happen. But I did challenge myself by going into a new genre. So that definitely put me into a new um, you know, zone. And when we're in our comfort zone, we're not growing. So I think that was really important. But I always second guess myself, and especially with new projects. And if your last book is good, I'm not sitting here thinking, well, that means that this next one is really good. It means,
Right.
no, I hope it's as good. I hope that they still like it. And I
Yeah.
just messaged a beta reader where I was like, I hope you still enjoyed it. So I think you always have to have a little bit of that, or I do.
Yeah.
And it keeps me trying to be my best, and I have a quote above my board, which is right behind my screen where I am now. And it says, what's the very best way to tell this story? And it seems like such simple advice, but I'm always thinking, what is the very best way? Because I could tell it from this perspective, or it could start at this, part of the events. But what's the very best way? So when we start to really challenge ourselves and think in those terms, you're going to doubt yourself. You're gonna, and that's good.
Yeah. That's
Does that
yeah.
help?
No true
Yeah.
words were spoken. Yes.
Oh, good, good, good.
Exactly. So, absolutely, Zara. No, I think we covered that. Like you said, you gave all the tips and pointers for all creative writers, including myself. So, absolutely, yeah. That's what I needed to ask that question. She covered it. So, but Sarah, I do want to thank you very much for coming on to my loft to talk about, like I said, your latest and the greatest. And I know you're excited again, you guys. Her book, Raining Cats and Curses, from the Ella Bloom Mystery Series, is coming out officially tomorrow. So, Sarah, with that being said, did you want to let everybody know where they can find you, your website, Amazon, and just kind of let them know where they can find
Oh,
you?
thank you so much. And
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate the opportunity.
Welcome.
Just go to my website and that can lead you to everywhere else. That's the easiest thing to do. And it's my first and last name, Sarah Noffke, Noffke, .com. And so from there, it'll take you to Amazon for most of my books. I'm exclusive with that and Kindle Unlimited. And there's audiobooks, and my books are available in German and Portuguese and Dutch and all sorts of things. So, but from there, it'll just shoot you off into the web and you can find it. So, and then you can always send me an email, if you have questions, or, you need help navigating, because I also have reading guides on there, because I do have 128 books and 17 series. So sometimes it's like, where do I start? And my question back to readers is, what are you interested in? Because I write about everything from detectives to dragons. So
Yeah, no, that's right. Okay, definitely, Sarah. So thank you very much, Sarah. And guys, thank
thank
you
you.
for hanging out with me and Sarah as we talking about her latest and the greatest. And I will see you guys next time.
Bye. Thank you.
You're very welcome.